Yeah, cool. I'm trying to milk you for the details of this model, but I can see you shouldn't do that publicly.
No, but the thing that I think is really fun is the following. I think I don't know if it's something about the Netherlands and the universities there, but all the clever uses of machine learning that use them in ways that others haven't used them come from there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they're doing over there. But
which university? I know some people.
I don't know, but I mean, I have some personal friends that come from there, and then all the papers that I think are cool come from there. So the Netherlands, I guess they're a good place, but
perhaps they are creative for other reasons.
They're creative for other reasons,
right? Well, if we're gonna go just touch on the Europe subject for a moment,
maybe we should park. If we close this, we go here now. So I kind of think we've. Interesting stuff, yeah. But let's go to the next theme.
Well, this is a good segue because you were asking about, why this particular architecture and how does it work and stuff. And I'm a little bit proud of it because I don't know if it's unique or anything. I mean, a lot.
Will you publish about it, or do you think, or will you keep?
No, we're going to put it all out there. We want to. I mean, it's pretty experimental for us. We're learning as we're building the ship as we're sailing it, and I think the thing is. I've made a couple of talks at conferences about talking about deep learning by way of analogy. If you're going to understand how optimizers work, it helps to think in terms of geometry and that kind of thing. And there are a lot of analogies that you can make to make sort of conceptual leaps that allow you to be creative and come up with new use cases. And
you mean basically optimizes in terms of understanding like the loss landscape, and
for example, right? That was something
I know you have done some really beautiful visualizations there as well.
I've always imagined the spaceship going around the lost landscape and thinking, okay, well, things are different in 4D, so a valley's going to be really deep in 4D and so on. But it helps to have that sort of analogy when you're going to make intuitions. So it's not immediately evident when people talk about transformers that they apply to sequences of anything like traversing a graph. And I just think that it's neat to encourage students to think of novel ways of implementing these tools. So I guess that's what they're doing in the Netherlands. And so I'm thinking now if we segue into what Europe should be doing to promote AI and to get ahead.
Yes,
I almost think it has to start at the universities more than in the companies.
Why is that, do you think?
So I feel like a lot of the people that come out of universities from the machine learning program have almost done like 1 or 2 courses in Keras or something like that. And that's the extent of the hacking. Whereas these PhD kids from the Netherlands are just doing these really bizarre experiments with architectures that maybe I can have the neural computing machine wasn't from there, but just why would you even come up with such a thing to begin with? And skip connections and all that kind of stuff. Like who comes up with that stuff? That's the kind of thing that I think people need to be thinking about to be able to come up with novel use cases for AI, because right now everybody's just looking at pictures and text, and that's the end of it. And you can use it for anything, obviously.
And I know you love Keras from the video that you
So what is Keras for everyone? What is Keras?
Keras is a tool that, under normal circumstances, it would take you 90 lines of code to write something clever, and Keras makes it so you only have to write it in 10 lines of code.
Yeah. And how does that fit in all the other coding languages? We keep that a little bit.
No, I mean, the only reason I mentioned Keras is because to me, Keras is very much about getting stuff done.
Yes.
But at university, your job is not to get stuff done. It's to explore, the knowledge landscape.
But wouldn't you say that the mix, though? I mean, if you have great engineering skills and can actually build and test and, do proper experiments, that's a huge benefit as well, to be able to be creative in some way.
For sure. But that's why I use Julia instead of C. If I had to program in C all the time, I would never get anything done.
So let's explore the Europe place, because I really want to go into the language story here. We have another. You're the second Julia fan we have had on the show. But let's continue with Europe, because so the theory here is a little bit like, how do we get Europe back on track? And you are now pushing a little bit like, okay, let's really think about academia role in this.
Yes.
whether we do other stuff, I think this is still valid, that we need to be much smarter of what we do in academia.
Yeah.
So what's this recipe? What's the Amsterdam way?
Oh, the Amsterdam way is going to be tough, but I think the Amsterdam way is probably to have machine learning specializations that let you work on the machine learning part for a much longer part of the time. So I feel like the machine learning specializations that exist today are basically computer science with 2 or 3 elective courses in machine learning. Whereas I feel like it's a very hands-on topic, like architecture or anything else, where you really need to spend quite a lot of time trying ideas and that kind of thing. And then I think that
you want more craftsmanship, hardcore machine learning craftsmanship as part of the curricula.
Yeah,
spending more time with learning different languages and doing the engineering stuff.
To be fair, I mean, the Netherlands papers that I see are very technical and mathematical. So they're not just hack and slashing. They know what they're doing. They rationalize all the choices that they make. And even if they don't, you know that they know what they're doing, because the intuition it would have required to make that logical leap and come up with that stuff, you need to know that that's a reasonable assumption to make.
Let's bring in one of the favorite topics, first principles, right? Yes. So you need to know the first principles to be able to reason and come up with the creative ideas.
Yes,
right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's true. So you need to really master something. You really need to be able to give it apart and rebuild it in another way, or use it for another thing.
Yeah. And I think, well, here's a little rant from me, because it's fun, tongue-in-cheek, guys. You have people that have studied statistics, and then they start coming and they need to implement it in distributed systems. And there are computer science facets of implementing algorithms in distributed methods that sort of throw a wrench into the stuff that you've learned at university. So if you're going to calculate the variance of a data set distributed, you need to take into consideration numeric stability and other things that you wouldn't have to take into consideration when you're just calculating it on one machine. And that's very much in the domain of computer science. And you might never come across it unless you've been forced to learn those algorithms either in courses or tried the algorithm yourself and found that you got negative values when you shouldn't be, and that kind of thing.
So what are we saying now? Like, so where should academia go to be even more relevant? And we are not talking about the PhD stuff now, or is this PhD stuff? Or or is it basically the master degree, like just churning out students?
I feel like the master's degrees here have not gone deep enough. They need to commit completely to having like an AI specialization.
So you're skimming the surface on too many broad things. So they should be more, okay, I really want to become a machine learning engineer. Let's go that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there needs to be a tight connection with the industry. I really think that the startup scene and the connection with the industry and all that kind of thing is super important as well.
So just thinking about that and thinking about Europe versus US or China, and you can think about different investments we can make from EU Commission or from Swedish government or whatnot. And we can choose to spend a lot of money in improving academia, or we can choose to spend a lot of money in investing in companies that want to be more innovative or doing more AI research or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then we can think about how it works in US, etc. Where do you think, if you were to recommend like EU commissioner to spend some money,
where to invest?
Where should they, where would they have the biggest gains, so to speak?
Man, it's very tough to be political like that. And the only reason I'm hesitant is because startups is not for everyone, because it requires a bit of a tenacity that it just does not suit it for everyone. So
I guess it's 3 different ways. One could be like academia, make it more relevant, make use of later techniques, both in like AI and other like data and computer science, whatnot. And also it could be like more enterprise type of companies that needs to be more innovative and use these techniques and more quickly, adapt to the current situation. And then it could be startups.
Yeah.
And having a better startup scene, which I think Sweden actually has a really good one.
I think so too. Yeah, right? Sweden is really good about that, and surprisingly good about giving people opportunity without too many negative repercussions. It's very easy to start a company in Sweden. Like you can start a company really fast. Very hard to end the company, but that's another question. But I think if I were to pick between investing in big companies and investing in startups, it would definitely be startups.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is that?
Because they can take bigger gambles. and make investments in the kind of innovation that is disruptive. It's not fair to expect a big company to. I mean, take some of the logging companies in Sweden that handle forests and that kind of thing. They have a very solid way of doing things that they've been doing for decades, centuries, maybe even some of them. And it's unreasonable to expect that they're going to change and digitalize everything.
Yeah, but it's a quite interesting question. You know, theoretically, EU Commission has 1 trillion or whatever, 100 billion.
Yeah.
How do we invest them? You know, just roughly. Is it 50% to academia, 25% to big and startup, or is it 100% just throw?
Very easy questions here for you to answer. And,
yes, I know.
1% startup.
I'll give you the answer right now. Right? You ready
startup.
for it? Yeah. No, but I think one way that companies would like to work is it ties back to what we were talking about before, whether you should go into a cave and code for a year and then come back.
Yes.
I don't think that that's the right way to do it. You said you need to validate that something is good with a company. But if you do that, you tend to give away the value of your company, which is why people would prefer to go into a cave and then come out and then take that gamble. Wouldn't it be nice if you could keep your company, but still have it verified somewhere else? So maybe the EU could sort of fund that cooperation so that a startup could develop something that's targeted at retail, but instead of IKEA or H&M buying that startup, they could just receive funding from the EU and get it developed together with ICA or H&M or IKEA or something like that.
So basically investments to have startups helping enterprises in some way?
Yes. Let's say that IKEA were to vouch for us and say, we're going to develop this together with Fox Rain to optimize our warehouses.
Yep.
And under normal circumstances, either we would, if we were to do a joint venture, we would be giving away part of the company.
Yep.
And maybe we don't want to do that. And so we say, we're going to stay at home and code it ourselves. Maybe the EU could make it so that they could fund that work. So we could work for IKEA or H&M or whoever, but without having to worry about giving away all of the company in the meantime, if you're a fresh startup. So a fresh startup out of university gets to keep the company, gets to get it verified already at stage 1, and gets to develop at the same time.
But actually, this is really
a good point.
I think this is fantastic, because if you think about that, how we have a welfare system in Sweden and how that is geared to a certain type of money. So we're giving money away in different ways, and we're spending a lot of money, which is more like for people out of jobs or startups. So the money is there. So it's a little bit like, how can we make it more simple to apply for this money? And it has a different flavor to it. It has a mentorship. Yeah. It has connection. Yeah. So maybe we are talking about the different style of arbetsförmedlingen. Yeah. So what's the arbetsförmedlingen
for startups?
For startups.
Yeah, that's
and hardcore. What's the problem with this? It's just thinking first principle. What is this problem all about? And deconstructing it, seeing what the startup scene needs, and then create the startup.
It's a very funny way of putting it. Arbetsförmedlingen for startups.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, let's move out of the EU discussions. I've been forced to have a lot of discussions there recently, so it's not always the most fun thing to speak about.